surprised me.
Well, that's good. So you think the millennials showed up in force too?
Oh yes, there was. I was shocked at how many young people I saw. There's definitely something going on here. There's a movement here.
Let me ask you, Steve. So did we see any of our state or local politicians show up? Did we have our state congressmen or state senators? Did you recognize anybody? The bishops, the Wahlbergs, anybody? Did anyone show up?
Well, they had an area in the back where people sat. Ronald Romney was there, the state chair. And I think Pete Hoekstra gave a speech earlier. They had speeches before Trump arrived, and the general gave a speech, and the Giuliani gave one. But I think it was Hoekstra. It was somebody from the West Side.
Okay, so it would have been Pete Hoekstra, who ran for state senate. Didn't do a great campaign, but he was there. So that's good to know. But it's amazing that we're not getting local support from our state and local county commissioners, whoever, showing up down there. How about our Oakland County superintendent or supervisor, whatever his name is? You didn't see him there by chance, did you?
No, I was looking for my local people. I didn't expect to see the governor there. He might be just a detriment to Trump at this point with the Flint thing. Just stay out of it.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
No, I really didn't.
Okay. Well, that just goes to show you that the establishment GOP are still not jumping in to support Trump like they should be. And this is a disgrace. Let me tell you something. I got into an argument with an ever-Trumper on Twitter the other day, and he was a Cruz guy. Even though Cruz is now on board, this guy wasn't. And what the heck is wrong with you people? I mean, I didn't support McCain and Romney until after they were my last choice. But I supported them. Why? Because it's common sense. If everyone had got off their duff and supported Romney, even though he wasn't your first choice, you might have had an option of not having Barack Obama for the next 4 years. And this time around, let me tell you, you get 4 years of Hillary, you get 8 years of Hillary. That's an automatic. And you will never have a Republican president again because she is going to bring in so many refugees, so many illegals, so many immigrants that the Republicans won't be able to. You will dilute the vote so badly, you'll never see a common sense Republican again.
Well, that's why I'm doing the things I'm doing now, donating, because we're in serious trouble here, and we don't have an alternative. That's the only choice we have.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Steve, so much for going out there and supporting Donald, and thank you for everything you do. Love seeing that coming out of the, just the common man getting out and doing his part to help out.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Take care. Okay, so yes, absolutely. Each and every one of us needs to get off our duff and do what you have to do, whether it's Facebook, social media of any sort, knocking on doors, talking to people at the gas station. These are all things you can do. And you don't have to be rude. You don't have to be ignorant. You can just say, hey, use some common sense. We bring 1 million people into this country every year legally. Why do we do that when there's 94 million people not in the workforce? It's simple economics. If you don't have enough jobs, here, let me dumb it down for people. If I've got 5 million jobs and 6 million people, how many people are out of work? 1 million. So why would you bring in another million people for those jobs? That's insanity at its absolute worst. Let's take a call from Ken in Livonia. Ken, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. Now, I had been fighting back and forth with myself whether or not I could support Donald Trump and vote for him. But the one thing that finally made me decide that come November, I can and I will vote for Donald Trump.
Awesome.
The fact that the establishment clearly hates him. See, I hate the Republican Party. The Republican Party has proven time and again to me that they want big, bloated government just like the Democrats do.
Yep.
And so for me, when I walk into the voting booth in November, I will not be casting a vote for any name that is a Republican, just as I won't be casting a vote for anyone that's a Democrat. But, and I've talked to friends of mine that feel the same way, we're willing to give a waiver to Donald Trump. He is not a career politician in the sense that, he made all of his money the old-fashioned way. He worked for it. And he didn't spend his whole life in politics.
Ken, I am so proud of you, and you've really made my day listening to you say that today. You and I, a lot of us down here at the station, you call in a lot. I hear you on other radio shows all the time, and you are one of those guys that we kind of judge a standard by, and I am so happy to hear you say that. Thank you so much, Ken.
Well, one other quick thing. To all the never-Trumpers that are in your audience, listen, people, forget all these issues why you don't want to vote for Trump. There's one issue that overrides everything else: national security. We cannot allow Hillary Clinton to be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All these other reasons I keep hearing, just forget it.
Yeah. Great comments, Ken. Thank you so much. You made my day. Appreciate it.
You take care.
You take care, too. All right, let me do a quick analogy for people, and this is not that far off the books. Imagine yourself 8 years from now. It's 2022, whatever, 24, right? Imagine yourself in 2024. Hillary Clinton has now been president for 8 years. She has allowed millions and millions and millions of Sharia-loving refugees into the country. She's allowed the border to be completely dismantled. We've got people flowing into the country left and right. And you being, if you're listening to the show, you're just an average conservative guy. And you get chased down the street by a bunch of Sharia-loving Muslim refugees who despise you for being, having a beer, say, or anything else. And you run into an alley. Here's your choice. You see in the alley an old rusted bar that you can pick up and defend yourself with, or take the beat down from those Muslims. Are you not going to pick up that bar to defend yourself because it's too dirty? It's too rough? It's too rusty? I don't want to touch that. I don't want to use it. I don't like it. And that's what Donald Trump is. He is the last thing you have to protect yourself. Why would you not use him? You don't have to like him. You don't have to think he's perfect. You don't have to think he's a complete gentleman. But he's what you have. This is what you got. You're cutting your nose to spite your face when you don't vote for Donald Trump in this election. Because, mark my words, folks, 8 years from now, if Hillary Clinton is the president for 8 years, you can kiss your Second Amendment goodbye. You could probably kiss this radio station goodbye. Your ability to speak freely as you do now on the internet and to listen to radio like this, talk radio, will not be here in 8 years if Hillary Clinton is president of the United States. I can tell you that. Trust me. This is a fact. The transformation is well underway under Barack Obama, and it will be finished under Hillary Clinton. Your thoughts, your ability to worship as you want, your ability to speak as you want, those rights will go away under Hillary Clinton. The corruption has gotten that bad. And let's prove that corruption a little bit. Derek, let's run track 2. This is Comey being grilled. Now, this is your present-day director of the FBI. Okay? This is Director James Comey talking to Congress because they found more information. This hemorrhaging just keeps happening, and yet nobody goes to jail. Let's play that track, Derek.
Last week, the American people learned that Cheryl Mills, Secretary Clinton's longtime confidant and former State Department Chief of Staff, and Heather Samuelson, counsel to Secretary Clinton in the State Department, were granted immunity for production of their laptops. Why were they not targets of the FBI's criminal investigation?
Well, a target is someone on whom you have sufficient evidence to indict. A subject is someone whose conduct at some point during the investigation falls within the scope of the investigation. So certainly with respect to Ms. Mills, at least initially, because she was an email correspondent, she was a subject of the investigation.
Did the FBI find classified information on either of their computers?
I think there were some emails still on the computer that were recovered that were classified, is my recollection.
Isn't that a crime?
Is what a crime, sir?
Having classified information on computers that are outside of the server system of the Department of State, unsecured.
No, it's certainly something, without knowing more, you couldn't conclude whether it was a crime. You'd have to know what were the circumstances, what was the intention around that, but it's certainly something, it's the reason we conducted a year-long investigation to understand where emails had gone on an unclassified system that contained classified information.
And what did you determine with regard to the emails found on her computer?
I hope I'm getting this right, and my troops will correct me if I'm wrong, but they were duplicates of emails that had been produced because the emails had been used to sort before a production.
Now, both Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson were granted immunity for production of these computers, these laptops. Why were they then allowed to sit in on the interview with Secretary Clinton?
Right. The Department of Justice reached a letter agreement with the two lawyers to give them what's called act of production immunity, meaning nothing that's found on the laptop they turn over will be used against them directly, and which is a fairly normal tool in investigations. They were, Ms. Mills in particular was a member of the Secretary Clinton's legal team, and so Secretary Clinton decides which of her lawyers come to voluntary interviews with the FBI.
Is it usual to allow a witness or potential witness in a subsequent prosecution, had one been undertaken, to be present in the room when the FBI interviews another witness and potential target of an investigation?
The FBI has no ability to exclude or include any lawyer that a subject being interviewed chooses to have there.
Even if the lawyer is a witness in the case, can you cite any other instance in which a witness to a criminal investigation who has already been interviewed by the FBI has been allowed to accompany and serve as legal counsel to the target of that investigation?
I can't from personal experience. It wouldn't surprise me if it happened. The Department of Justice, the FBI has no ability to decide who comes to an interview in a voluntary interview context. If it was judicial proceeding, a judge could police who could be there, and obviously lawyers are governed by canons of ethics to decide what matters they can be involved in, but it doesn't fall to us to say you can be in, you can't be in.
Well, wouldn't you agree that it is a conflict of interest for them to serve as attorneys for Secretary Clinton in this matter, having been interviewed by the FBI as witnesses?
That's a question a lawyer has to answer for him or herself.
You're a lawyer, Director Comey. What's your opinion of that?
Oh, I don't want to offer an opinion on that, but that's something a lawyer has to decide for themselves. I assume with counsel and consulting our canons of ethics, what matters you can be involved in and what you can't. But again, the Bureau's role in conducting a voluntary interview is to interview the subject. Who they bring is up to them.
How can you trust the veracity of Secretary Clinton's answers, knowing that witnesses previously interviewed by the FBI were allowed to participate in the interview?
We assess the answers based on what's said and all the other evidence we've gathered.
In consultation with her, quote, attorneys who are also witnesses to what was previously done earlier and may, in fact, have themselves violated the law for which they requested and were granted immunity.
All right, so here, let's simplify it a little bit for you. When a crime occurs, two or three people, let's say me and Derek, we commit a crime. When we are arrested or questioned, just questioned, brought down for question, you're not under arrest, they don't put the two of you into the same room together to try and get your stories straight. That's what's happening here. They question you separately. You can't be together. They want to get your opinion, your story. They want to get this guy's story, and they want to see what's jiving and what's not jiving because, this is how we catch people in a lie. And, of course, in the movies, they'll put pressure on you and everything else. But they keep you separate. So how are you going to get the truth out of Hillary Clinton when the other people who committed crimes, and they did because they got immunity. Don't think that they got immunity because they were just good people. They got immunity because a crime was committed. Something very bad happened. And so this lady, Cheryl Mills, who committed the crime, classified information on her computer. I don't know if she's a spy. Maybe she's just inadvertently stupid. But the crime was committed, Mr. Comey. Classified information on a non-classified computer is a crime. Whether you want to believe it or not, whether you believe there has to be intent or not, that's your opinion. But as far as I'm concerned, and everyone else, you can ask General Petraeus. You can ask that young guy who had the pictures of the submarine, inside of a submarine on his phone. Classified information in a non-classified setting is a crime. And yet you allow the witness, Cheryl Mills, to not only sit in with Hillary Clinton, but to be her attorney. I'd like to have seen video of that because how many times did Hillary stop and talk through the little sidebar with Cheryl Mills before she answered a question? Because Cheryl Mills was there to coach her through and say, don't say that, don't say this. This is the answer I gave. Let's keep our stories together so we don't get in trouble. Why would you give immunity before that? because she produced a. Yeah, if it had been you or I, there would have been no immunity for me to give up my laptop. They would have gotten a warrant and taken my laptop. And that's what Mr. Comey should have done. There should have been a warrant issued for all the laptops of all of Hillary's people. 5